Welcome to this e-therapy presentation on mindfulness-based social emotional learning. Our contributors to this content are myself, Sarah Smith, Diana Parafinick, e-therapy founder and CMO, and also clinical mental health counselor, Emmanuel Giamelli. Diana and I both have extensive experience in the teletherapy and online learning environment and have presented nationally on best practices for teletherapy in the fields of special ed related services and telemental health. Emmanuel is a mindfulness based mental health therapist, and she provides MBSEL training to educators as part of her practice. She also authored the children's book, See, Hear, Feel Mindfulness for Children One Moment at a Time. Let's dive in here to an overview of what we will be discussing. We will review what is mindfulness based social emotional learning, or MBSEL, how MBSEL can benefit educators, parents, and students, and what are some of the challenges our students face. Then we will provide lots of practical examples of MBSEL activities and strategies we can incorporate to help students build resilience to various challenges they encounter. So, what is mindfulness? Here is a simple definition. Mindfulness is the basic human ability to be fully present, aware of where we are and what we're doing, and not become overly reactive or overwhelmed by what's going on around us. So, a state of mind we could all use a little more of. Some additional definitions here from the Mayo Clinic and mindful.org. It's a type of meditation in which you focus on being intensely aware of what you're sensing and feeling in the moment without interpretation or judgment. And mindfulness is a quality that every human being already possesses. It's not something you have to conjure up, you just have to learn how to access it. So, mindfulness is about having intentional awareness both internally and externally. We can practice mindfulness to help us get to know our thoughts, feelings, senses, and impulses. We can develop self awareness and self regulation in the present moment internally. Then, externally, mindfulness can help us to recognize what is happening outside ourselves in order to be socially aware, which helps us to develop and maintain positive relationships and make healthy decisions in the present moment and within our communities. Now, another term that we are delving into here is social emotional learning, or SEL. So, what is that? Social and emotional learning is the process through which we acquire and effectively apply the knowledge, attitudes, and skills necessary to understand and manage emotions. Social emotional skills help us to set and achieve positive goals, feel and show empathy for others, establish and maintain positive relationships, and make responsible decisions. Educators have become increasingly aware of the importance of SEL and mindfulness in recent years, and both SEL and mindfulness based initiatives in education emphasize the development of positive self, moral, social, and emotional understanding. So, as the quote here states, mindfulness based SEL could be the avenue to support teachers as they teach, learners as they learn, preventing some devastating mental health challenges that our schools have been faced with today. Mindfulness based social emotional learning practices benefit everyone, students and educators, children and adults. When incorporating MBSEL strategies, teachers and students have better educational outcomes in the areas of overall productivity and performance. And this is due to increased skills to identify and manage emotions, development of empathy or understanding of another's perspective, ability to set and achieve positive goals, development of a sense of resiliency and well being, behavioral improvement, increased self control, and decreased stress and anxiety. So, why do we need this? Why do our students have so much stress and anxiety? Well, many of them are facing real challenges, and One of the terms we will refer to here is ACE, and this translates to adverse childhood experiences. Some examples of ACEs that our students might encounter are bullying, harassment, emotional abuse, natural disasters, losing a home to a fire or flood, for example, motor vehicle accidents, sexual assault, physical assault, domestic violence that they may witness in the home, child abuse, or toxic living environments, which might include oppressive living conditions, aggressive or punitive environments, lack of stability, or inconsistency. And it's not just our students who experience trauma, teachers are people too, and we all go through adversity at times. Some examples of adverse experiences for our educators may include exposure to traumatic events, energy depletion, being overworked and feeling undervalued, burnout, that's a big one, extreme levels of stress, personal stressors such as divorce or other family issues such as death or sickness, or personal, emotional, or physical abuse experienced in the past or currently at home. And all of these stressors and adverse experiences can absolutely manifest in certain behaviors: trouble forming relationships with teachers or students, poor self regulation, negative thinking, hypervigilance, those feelings of extreme sensitivity and worry, challenges with executive functioning, so difficulty with managing time and decision making, and attention problems, just to name a few. So, amidst all of these challenges, MBSEL can be a pathway to better mental health for staff and students. We know that we can't completely eliminate the adverse experiences or stressors, but what we can do is build resiliency. And researchers have found that individuals with higher mindfulness have greater resilience. And a quote here from another researcher: mindfulness has been shown to have positive effects related to resilience and protective factors, helping to reduce stress and promote well being, and an effective way to promote positive response to negative stimuli. So, some examples of protective factors: positive relationships with the community and family, social acceptance, stability, improved temperament. In the big picture, we are looking at overall risk and protective factors. Risk factors being characteristics at the biological, psychological, family, community, or cultural level that are associated with a higher likelihood of negative outcomes. Protective factors are characteristics associated with a lower likelihood of negative outcomes. Protective factors may be seen as positive countering events, so countering those risk factors. Effective prevention focuses on reducing risk factors and strengthening those protective factors. Now, a few more glimpses into the research here. An article on youth development. They found that comprehensive, long term school wide interventions that involve families and communities, but are not too difficult to implement, can successfully reduce those problem behaviors and increase the healthy behaviors and enhance academic performance. Studies also show that self concept or self esteem is correlated with both problem behaviors and academic performance. Yet another study showed that social emotional learning improved academic performance with as much as an 11 percentile gain in achievement. So we know that mindfulness and social emotional learning are beneficial. But how do we actually incorporate those practices with our students? Well, first, let's take a look at some basic meditative or mindfulness activities. If you are just getting started with mindfulness practice in the classroom, it can be helpful for the educator and the students to think about all the types of mindfulness that we can experience. We can be mindful of our breath with simple breathing exercises, mindful of our body or of our thoughts and emotions. A quick Google search will help you to find easy scripts for simple mindfulness exercises that you can do with your students, and they don't require any special equipment. You can just lead your students through the mindfulness or meditation exercise as they take a quiet moment with you to slow down, relax, and become more focused. I'll give you an example next of a body scan activity. This type of simple mindfulness exercise can be used for students in a virtual setting or in an on site brick and mortar environment as well. So take a listen as we go through this activity and feel free to really follow along and try it out for yourself. Let's take just a couple of minutes for a body scan exercise. Make sure that you are seated comfortably with feet on the floor if possible. And let's start by getting quiet and taking a deep breath. Now close your eyes and take another breath in. And as you exhale, feel yourself start to relax. Now bring awareness to your feet. Just notice how they feel, your heels, your toes, ankles. Notice any tension or aches. Take another deep breath and let your feet start to soften and relax. Next, move that awareness up to your legs. Notice what your legs are feeling, if they're touching the chair. Do your muscles feel tired or heavy? Take a breath in, and as you let your breath out, feel your legs start to soften. Now move your awareness up to your hips and lower back. Keep breathing in and out, and take notice of what you feel in your hips and lower back. Maybe the pressure of the chair, or an ache or tension. Take a deep breath in and feel the tension release as you breathe out. And if you recognize that your mind starts to wander or you become lost in your thoughts, just take a brief pause and come back to yourself and focus on your breath and what you're feeling. Move your awareness into your belly and chest. Notice what it feels like in your belly and chest as you take a deep breath. Notice how the feelings change as you breathe in and out. Next, move your awareness to your hands and fingers. Notice what sensations you feel. Are your hands hot or cold? Are they tingling? Now, start to move your awareness up the length of your arms. Notice if your arms feel tight or heavy. Take a deep breath and bring awareness all the way up to your shoulders and upper back. There might be some tension or tightness there. Take a breath in, and as you exhale, let your shoulders drop and release any tension you were holding there. Next, bring your awareness up to your face. Become aware of the sensations in your chin, behind your eyes, in your forehead. Take a deep breath and feel your face start to soften as you breathe out. Now, as you continue to breathe in and out, bring an awareness to the whole body from the top of your head down to your toes. Hold that awareness of the whole body as you continue to take another deep breath. Now, you can open your eyes as we conclude our exercise. And even though the exercise is concluded, remember that you can always come back to this place of awareness at any time. So now that we are totally relaxed, let's come back to our content here. You can use a basic mindfulness or meditation script with your students to lead them through an exercise, such as what we just did. You can talk with them after about how it made them feel and if they noticed anything about how they felt before the exercise versus after. As you can imagine, it might take several sessions of practice for students to become used to the exercises, but once they do, it can really be a great way to bring down energy levels and help increase calm and focus. And this can be done through a simple meditation script, or you might want to include visuals if you think your students would benefit from that. For example, here is a basic but really effective breathing visual that can work well for younger students. So, you could use something like this with younger students to help them engage in a simple calming breath exercise. And then they have that visual in their mind, so you can refer to it later if needed. Remember our fish breathing. I want you to picture the fish and let's take some deep breaths in and out. You can also use a glitter jar or something similar as a visual for students. You can, of course, create your own tangible glitter jar if you like, with water and glitter that you can use in a brick and mortar setting, or you can show it through screen sharing like this for remote students. And in this type of exercise, we talk with the students about how the glitter is like our thoughts swirling around quickly in our minds with many ideas moving in different directions constantly. And talk them through letting their thoughts start to slow down and settle as they watch the glitter in the water get slower and calmer as it settles in the jar. So, that gives you an introduction into the world of mindfulness and simple meditation exercises you can do with your students. Now, we are building on this concept of mindfulness to include social emotional learning for a mindfulness based SEL approach. And here we are going to focus on three main ways to create those positive countering events or protective factors through MBSEL. We will look at self awareness, activities for students and staff to learn about themselves and connect with how they feel. Managing feelings, strategies to foster the ability to manage thoughts and improve emotional regulation. And also taking responsibility, helping students develop a sense of empathy and ability to take responsibility for actions toward others. So, next, we're going to take a look at some practical examples of how we can incorporate self awareness activities when working with students. And here we're talking about awareness of the body and feelings. So, both the physical and the emotional. Something important to remember is that you don't have to be an expert in meditation or mindfulness to incorporate these concepts into your work with students. You absolutely do want to refer your students for additional intervention if they have specific mental health needs. A school psychologist or other professional can provide services then as needed, but all of us can benefit from some mindfulness approaches in our daily lives, and you don't have to be an expert to incorporate those concepts. You can go to a resource site such as mindful.org and view a basic overview of how to meditate. Then you can lead your students in a simple meditation exercise. You don't even have to call it meditation, it could just be a quiet moment to relax, listen, and slow down. We can even use videos to help lead our students through exercises in becoming more aware of our physical self and how we're feeling. Go Zen has a YouTube channel with many mindfulness and self awareness type videos that are geared towards students. It's important to remember that if you are sharing YouTube videos with students, to use a safe video link, such as what you see here. That will ensure that the student is only focused on what you need them to focus on without the potential distractions or perhaps inappropriate content that might pop up on a site like YouTube. So, here is one example from Go Zen with a progressive relaxation exercise. So, let's take a look at this.
Keep breathing like this as we begin. Focus on your face. Squeeze your eyes shut, press your lips together, scrunch your eyebrows in, and wrinkle your nose. Imagine your face getting smaller and smaller and tighter until it's a tiny point in the middle of your head. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Now relax your face. Make everything soft again. Awesome. Keep breathing.
That was just a portion of the video, but it gives you the idea of how a video or visual such as this can help students to go through an exercise to become more aware of their body and to be able to release any tension they may be holding. As I mentioned before, when we are talking about self awareness, we're talking about the whole self. So, not just awareness of the physical, but also emotional awareness, which is something many of our students can benefit from. Let's take a look at a real world example of how we can use activities to build emotional understanding and awareness in our students. So, here's a clip of an online session.
So I love this kid's face. I mean, here's the scenario with this kid. The boy's grandma is late picking him up from school. So how does your body feel when you're frustrated? Like, and if you're not sure, take a look at this kid and let's infer or guess how his body feels like if he's frustrated. His hands are folded. How do you think he might feel? His body feels. Do you think you can read that?
The girl's best friend moved away.
Yeah. So, can you read that first question? Is the girl, can you read that?
Is
And
the
I'll
girl
help you if you need
feeling
help.
annoyed, worried, or sad?
And what is your feeling on that, Xander?
Worried and sad.
So what I hear you saying is that you can feel like more than one thing at one time. Is that what you're saying? Yeah, I agree with you 100%. So I got to write that down. So talk to me about the worried part. So maybe she's worried
That she won't have any more friends.
Yeah. I mean, I could totally relate to that. And then maybe she's feeling sad because
She won't have her as a friend anymore.
I
And she won't
know.
be able to see her.
I wonder, maybe they'll be able to connect on Zoom or phone calls or text or something. But how do you think your body feels like when you're feeling sad and worried like that?
And this type of lesson works for one on one, as you just saw, or it can work for larger groups of students in classes, whether it be on site or online. We can use activities as a conversation starter to help students discuss and analyze their own emotions and recognize the feelings of those around them. Another area that we can focus on is helping our students learn to manage their feelings. This starts with identifying and acknowledging emotions, which we touched on in the previous examples. Then we go a step further to use strategies to manage the more difficult feelings, such as anxiety and frustration, helping our students not only identify when they have those emotions, but then what they can do about it to help them be more calm and focused. One great resource out there is the site Go Noodle. This site is educational and fun, and here we can use movement activities to help students learn and engage. And there's even a section that is all about SEL and mindfulness. Let's take a look at one example here with the activity called Emotions Grow and Shrink.
Most of the time, feelings start off small and they can change pretty easily and they're usually not too hard to handle.
But then there are the big feelings. You know the ones. Start off small, then they get bigger and bigger and bigger real quick.
No worries though. Knowing this about emotions can help us handle them better so they aren't so difficult to deal with.
Let's let our bodies teach us what it's like to grow and shrink emotions. You ready to do it with me?
Oh, and if any part of this doesn't feel right for you, just pause. It's cool. And join again if and when you're ready.
Cool. Let's grow some anger together. Restless. Fingers are jittery.
Bothered. Quick glances over each shoulder.
Irritated. Shoulders twitch like the shirt tag is scratchy.
Frustrated. Fists form in hands. Shoulders go up.
Mad. 1 foot stomps, eyebrows tighten.
Angry. Both feet stomp. Mouth grumbles. Eyes focus.
Enraged. Fists tighten, elbows raised to wide, legs are tense, face is tight, mouth yells, ah!
All right. It's all good. Now, let's shrink that imaginary anger. You good, Arm?
I'm good.
Enraged. Fists tighten, elbows raised to wide, legs are tense, face is tight, mouth yells, ah!
Angry. Both feet stomp. Mouth grumbles. Eyes focus.
Mad. 1 foot stomps, eyebrows tighten.
Frustrated. Fists form in hands. Shoulders go shoulder.
Restless. Fingers are jittery.
That was intense. But we handled it together, right?
Yeah. Now let's grow some happiness. You ready, Arm?
I'm ready.
Calm. Eyes open and look forward. Long exhale.
And I love how that activity really gives a dynamic visual for students on how we can grow or shrink our emotions, how we can be the ones in control instead of letting our emotions control us. And we often think about teaching self management skills to students who are a bit older. But these types of lessons really can start even at an early education level. We can start building these self calming strategies even with our youngest students. So let's take a look at a real life example of this with clip of an online session.
All right, there we go. Daniel Tiger visits the library. Look at that. Hi, Daniel. Says, hi, neighbor. We're going to the library for story time. Charlie, do you get happy or sad when you go to the library?
I'll get happy.
Happy. And look, Daniel had a smile on his face. Says, I'm so excited. Are you? You told me you get a big smile, right? You get really happy when you go to the library. Charlie can't go until you're calm, says Dad. He has to calm down. He's got to sit nicely, right? But how can I be calm when I'm so excited? Try this with me, says Dad. What do you think they're going to do? Let's see. Give a squeeze, nice and slow. Can you give yourself a squeeze? Oh, big old squeeze. Take a deep breath and let it go.
Take a deep breath. Can you take a deep breath?
Nice job. Did that calm you down, Charlie? It worked for Daniel, too. I feel calmer. I think Charlie might be able to go now. Let's see. Look at this. Charlie, how does Prince Wednesday feel? He's got a big smile. He's
Happy.
He's so happy. He's hopping like a frog. Because look at this. They're reading stories about animals. Ribbit, ribbit, he says. Story time is to be quiet and calm, says X the owl. Oh, look at this. How does Daniel feel here?
Sad.
He looks
Sad.
sad. He can't hear the story. He's so sad. He's missing the story. Do you know how we can help Prince Wednesday feel calm? Oh, do you remember how they got calmed down before? What did they do? They took a deep.
Can you do a big squeeze? Give yourself
Look
a
at
big
that.
squeeze.
There's big squeeze. Oh, there it is. And a deep breath, just like you did, Charlie. Good work. I feel calmer, said Prince Wednesday. We listened to the story. I have one more thing I want to show you, and then we're all done for today. Okay, buddy?
Okay.
All right. I brought 2 stories with me, and I'd like you to pick. And I'm going to talk to Mom a little bit while we do our next story, okay? So, Mom, what we're going to cover here is when you're doing stories at home, I know Charlie loves to read. You guys read all the time. Just like we were doing Daniel Tiger, asking, throwing in those emotions, just like you were doing as you go through the story, talking about how the people feel in the story. So, Charlie, this.
I'm working on the computer too.
Oh, okay. Let's listen.
This one says, when you babysit a grandma, if you're lucky, it's a sleepover at her house. Charlie, how does she look? She's got a big smile. If she has a big smile, she feels
Happy!
you got it. She's so happy she gets to sleep over. And so, Mom, as you go through, here's another one, Charlie. How's she feeling here? She's feeling silly. She's so silly. And Mom, just like you normally would, as you're reading a story, prompting for the emotions, how they're feeling, why they're feeling that way. And he is doing a fantastic job.
Good
Charlie,
job,
you were
buddy.
such a good worker today. High five. Can you give me a big camera high five?
That clip just gives an example of how through shared story reading and modeling, we can help even our youngest students to develop strategies to manage feelings and to help them stay calm and focused. So, we want to help our students to build self awareness of the physical and the emotional. Then, we also want them to learn to manage those emotions if the feelings start to get too big or are causing anxiety. And we want our students to learn to take responsibility for their actions. This starts with helping them to develop a sense of empathy. So it's not only recognizing their own emotions and identifying the emotions in others, but then putting themselves in someone else's shoes and developing that understanding. Then helping our students to acknowledge their actions, seeing how those actions affect others, and what to do about it for conflict resolution. There are some great educator resources out there to help build empathy in students. Here is an example from the site Talking Tree Books with some basic visuals and worksheets that center around empathy that we can use with students to help them understand these concepts. Edutopia is another educator resource where you can find many articles and videos on topics such as empathy and taking responsibility for our actions. And we can use engaging activities such as interactive stories and create your own comic strip activities to help students develop some of these skills. Let's take a look at an online session example for a pair of students working on these concepts so that you can get a visual of what this might look like.
All right. How about number 3, Sova? What does number 3 say? This is a big one.
It says, 3, take responsibility. What could you have done differently?
Amazing. What does that mean?
Say you were mean to someone. Try that again differently and do something nicer.
Very good. So how can we go back and fix it, right? All right. You guys ready to practice some of these in a fun activity? If we can come up with a conflict resolution comic strip to practice those different skills. So what was the first thing? Who remembers the first skill? Step 1 was we have a conflict. First, we have to
Cool down.
cool down. And so we could take that belly breath or the flower breath, right?
But we always play video games. I want to go out and ride bikes.
Weston, what do you say?
Well, I don't want to go outside.
Uh-oh. Take a look what's going on with your body language and your facial expressions. What's starting to happen? Got his arms crossed. He does not look happy, right? Do these look like 2 friendly friends who are agreeing on something? So we're calling this our big remember the word conflict. You got it. Yep. All right, here we go. And you know what you guys could even do? How about after we play outside? How could we make it a solution that would make you both happy?
We play video games.
I like it. After we play outside, and this is where you could say, hey, I'm sorry for calling you a bad friend. Or can anyone think of anything else we could say on this one? Go ahead.
I could say, hey, sorry for calling you a bad friend. We can do both things, too.
I love it.
So that gives you an idea of some of the techniques and activities you can use to actually apply these mindfulness and SEL concepts with students. But in our roles as administrators and educators, therapists and parents, don't forget to take care of yourself too. If you, as the adult, are totally stressed out and frustrated, then you won't be able to support your student in the way that you want to. There are some really simple things you can incorporate into your day that can significantly improve your mood and decrease your anxiety. Gratitude is a big one for mental health. Research shows that if you just take a quick moment to jot down 3 things you're thankful for, it will significantly improve your happiness level and decrease stress. Even in super challenging times, we can often find things that we are grateful for. And just the simple act of recognizing that and taking a quick moment to write it down can really help. You can also try the do nothing activity. And this is way harder than it sounds because here we really mean do nothing. Don't look at your phone or a screen or watch a show. Don't talk. Do nothing for 5 whole minutes. Just try to simply do nothing and enjoy it. Moments of taking a complete pause are really rare in our lives, so try this. Try to prioritize being still and take notice of how you feel. And this can be quite difficult at first because, like that glitter jar, we have thoughts and plans and ideas constantly swirling around in our minds. So, when we have a moment to stop, we are often thinking, oh, I need to do this or that, or I better get started on the next thing. Because our lives are so full and so busy, we are constantly running from one thing to the next. But a recent study took a look at this idea of a do nothing exercise, and researchers found that practicing stillness for long enough that guilt goes away, then acceptance comes, and the wonderful productivity that follows is astounding. This exercise allows for clarity, and clarity allows for rational decision making, contributing to better overall functionality. So, what they found was that if we take those moments, say 5 minutes, to really pause and really do nothing, then we have the clarity to actually be even more productive after the exercise. It can also be really beneficial to do a self care assessment. We talk about the importance of assessments and measurements of progress for our students, but we don't often apply those same concepts to ourselves. With a quick Google search, you can find various self care assessments that you can easily complete. And taking time to honestly look at how you are taking care of yourself can be really revealing. Sometimes looking at something in black and white print can help us to really recognize and acknowledge what is going on. So you might do a self care assessment and make a simple plan for how to improve any areas that are lacking. Then check in with yourself in a month or so and see how you're doing and if there are any areas that you still want to work on. There are also many mindfulness type apps out there that you can download for free or for a subscription. There are lots to choose from. Some apps offer guided meditations, some offer personalized tips and strategies to improve your mood, or even calming games and activities. Also, breathing. It's not just an important strategy for our students. Educators need to take time for deep, calming breaths to help us get refocused. And many of the mindfulness apps also include breathing exercises, which can be helpful. And don't forget movement. With so many of us working remotely, we are spending many hours sitting and staring at a computer screen. The body scan activity, like we did earlier, can help us get in tune with how our body is feeling. And you may find that there's a lot of tension and aches and pains. That comes along with lots of sitting and lots of stress. So, incorporating regular movement activities can really help with this. And movement looks different for all of us. For some, it may be a cardio workout. For others, it may be some time to stretch or do a yoga routine. And all of us can benefit from a walk outside. Get out of your work zone for just a bit. Take the dog for a walk, maybe just have some quiet time alone, or make a phone call to connect with a loved one while you walk. Whatever makes the most sense for you, just be sure to incorporate some movement activities into your day. And lastly, remember to celebrate the successes. We are often so focused on what needs to get done and what problems there are, what is not going well that we need to fix. And while, of course, it is important to recognize problems, we also want to recognize the positive and celebrate our successes. It may be a success for a student. Maybe the student was able to complete an assignment and turn it in on time, and that was a success for them. Or maybe you were able to include some mindfulness activities into your work with students, and that was a success for you and the whole class. It is so easy to get bogged down in dwelling on problems. We just want to be sure we are mindful of the positives as well, and remember to celebrate our successes, big and small, along the way. And here are some key takeaways we would like to leave you with as we wrap up here. Many students and school staff have undergone adverse or traumatic experiences. And while we can't completely eliminate those experiences, we can help to increase resiliency. And we can build that resiliency through mindfulness based social emotional learning initiatives. It's about creating a foundation of mindfulness with our students. So that's those simple meditation or mindfulness exercises that help us get in tune with our breathing, our thoughts, and how we are feeling. Then we can build on that with social emotional learning that is based in mindfulness, focusing on improved self awareness, awareness of our physical selves and our emotions, ability to manage our emotions. So, using calming strategies or breathing techniques based in mindfulness to help us de escalate and focus, and taking responsibility. Here we are putting all the pieces together, understanding our own emotions, the feelings of others, and creating a sense of empathy to understand how our actions can impact those around us. So, one last statement here to leave you with, getting the big picture of all of this. Mindfulness matters. Mindfulness allows teachers to recognize their position as professional change agents. Teachers need mindfulness, and we need teachers to create a mindful movement towards social emotional learning. Thank you to all of our educators out there, teachers, therapists, administrators, and parent learning coaches. We know how hard you are working, and eTherapy is here to help. This presentation is brought to you by eTherapy, and we have extensive experience in the teletherapy space. We have been working with students online for well over a decade, and we have found what works. So let us help you. We are here to listen to what's going on with your school district and learn about your staff and students' unique needs. eTherapy can offer direct online special ed related services if that is what you need, with online speech, OT, PT, mental and behavioral health, psych ed evaluations, and more. Or we can simply answer questions and provide training and support for your existing staff to make you the expert in providing online services. We know that there is not a one size fits all model, and we understand that you have your own unique needs and situation. So, as always, feel free to reach out to us. Let us know how we can support you and your school. And we look forward to connecting with you more soon.